Alright, Netflix released the final Sandman trailer. Let's look into what it shows, frame by frame. Now, most of this is expected, but there are a few interesting changes and revelations I think we're seeing. Okay, dramatic reveal of Morpheus, establishing shot. This appears to be Morpheus entering Hell. So would this be our first view of Intrigan in live action? Okay, this is the realm of Desire. Since Desire is the personification of avarice, her realm is a statue shaped like desires themselves. This is pretty clearly the ending of Doll's House. So, going on, enter the Corinthian. This doesn't match up with any scene in which I'm familiar, but it could be one of his early murders. Okay, this is the prologue, the escape scene after Morpheus spent decades imprisoned. In the throne room bathroom. Okay, Lucian the librarian, and First Raven, is a girl now. Now, the line is a direct quote from after the census, at the beginning of Doll's House. I'm not certain who is in this shot, but I think it's Joanna Constantine. It seems like the search for the sandbag is going to be expanded. It was put into a single comic, including the meeting at the Hall of Justice, but it looks like it's going to be expanded into an entire episode by itself. Okay, this preludes again, with Morpheus coming on the castle, which has fallen to ruin in his absence. Okay, so this is not John Constantine, probably for copyright complications. I have to say, she looks too neat, almost like a Doctor Who companion. Now, this is the dream house where they get the sandbag. Alright, this is clearly Rose and Jeb, but I have no idea where this could be in the story. It's either a dream interlude that isn't in the comics, or it's towards the end of Doll's House. I'll come back to this later. Okay, this is definitely Dr. Destiny. Interestingly, he's wearing clothes. They seem to be cutting back on the casual nudity in the original. Alright, Corinthian threatening some dude. My guess is that this is the reporter at the Serial Convention, but there are several places this could be. Okay, 24 hours is going to be shown its full glory mess. We could do without that, but oh well. Alright, they're retrieving the mask art. Sorry, I'm not buying Gwendolyn Christie as a Lucifer. She just does not look intimidating in that getup. Aww, Abel and Goldie. Asim Chaudhary has sold me on that one look alone. He just needs a hug. Okay, the big one. Death. I actually don't have too much to say. I'm tentatively hopeful on Baptiste, because from what she seems, it does seem to work with sound of her wings. Alright, this is denouement of Doll's House when Morpheus visits Desire. Not really enough to say anything, but I am worried if Park is going to be able to pull it off. Alright, scenery, porn of the dreaming, Corinthian explaining his eye obsession. I'm guessing this is the Gate of Ivory for true dreams, but that doesn't really play a big role in the story here. Morpheus addressing Corinthian. Sturge lacks McAvoy's bass. It's delivered well enough, though. Interestingly, does this indicate that Morpheus is going to absorb Goldie instead of Abel's and Cain's letters of commissions? That would definitely increase the pathos of this scene. So, Corinthian seems to be confronting Gilbert directly here. That's an interesting change. Alright, this is the beginning of the prologue and the capture of Dream. I think this is actually Hall's performance. We never actually saw him on stage in Doll's House. What was talked about? It might just be a brief flash, but it'd be interesting if we saw a full performance. A lot of the characters in Doll's House were a bit chronically underused, as only Barbie was ever taken up on later. Okay, this seems to be a confrontation with Dr. Destiny. Burning the throne room is a new touch, but it seems to fit the nature of the fight, even if the details are different. Alright, Lucian says nightmares don't belong in the waking world, but I don't think that Corinthian is responding to her. I suspect this is the same confrontation with Gilbert I mentioned earlier. Okay, we go to super quick cut. This is Lucifer, Morpheus, the restored library, what looks to be the hunt for the sandbag, Matthew saying something, and then Morpheus restoring the castle back in Preludes. The end. Alright, here's my thoughts. It's very clear that this will be an adaptation of Preludes and Nocturnes as well as Doll's House, the first two books in the series. Overall, most of what we've been seeing seems accurate, but there do seem to be some fairly significant changes. It seems like the DC characters are going to be mostly cut. Not only is Martian Manhunter not casted, but I see nothing about Intrigan's actor. Of note, Bing enlists Mark Hamill on the cast, though IMDb does not. It's possible we'll have a Joker cameo instead of Scarecrow in 24 Hours. However, it seems that my dreams of Henry Cavill confronting despair over Krypton seems thoroughly dashed. On the other hand, it seems like the section of Johanna and Morpheus searching for the bag of sand in the house morphs by dreams is going to be greatly expanded, as they need to fill that episode somehow. Then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very concerned about Christie's Lucifer. The line we hear is delivered well, but I have to say Michael Sheen did it much better in the audiobook. Then, let's be frank, the Morningstar's wingspan is way too small and her frame is too slight. This character is not a threat visually. Here's the reason this is a problem. Lucifer is the most powerful DC character, bar Jehovah himself, by a long shot. As in, break Kal-El and Darkseid over his knee on one hand, while slapping Michael and Morpheus silly with the other hand powerful. It was so extreme that when Sandman had Lucifer leave the throne of hell, they had to create the first of the fallen as a new antagonist, so our heroes could theoretically challenge him. Christie just has an uphill battle convincing us of this, because her appearance just doesn't support it. However, my biggest concern is that the Corinthian seems to be an active antagonist. This is a problem. Morpheus is more than any mere god, while Corinthian is a nightmare created by Morpheus. The only reason Dr. Destiny could actually threaten Dream was because he was using Dream's own power through the Ruby Dreamstone. In the comics, in the serial convention, Corinthian challenges Dream to a fight and is rejected. Instead of fighting him, the Dream Lord simply unmade him with a thought. Netflix, though, seems to be building to a climactic battle. The brief clip of Rose and Jeb in the elevator, looking concerned, seems to indicate they will be actively running from the convention. I understand the changes from a narrative perspective to give a major climax. However, that goes against what Sandman is. It's not a superhero story. It's a story about someone who is little short of an almighty. On several occasions, Morpheus acts as the Deus in Deus Ex Machina. And this has been a problem in every proposed Sandman adaptation that has ever been proposed. So, we'll have to see how Sandman actually comes across. Now, as I promised in a previous video, I will be reviewing the first episode when it comes out on August 5th. Until then, I would gladly like to hear what all of you think about this trailer and what your hopes for the series are. And until then, thanks for listening, y'all.